4, 3, 2, 1. Blog Talk Radio.
Broadcasting from Cincinnati, you're listening to the Ringside Reporter Podcast. All the news from the world of boxing right here.
Well, I'm talking to you the way I want to talk to you.
Now, here's your host, Eric Lorda.
Welcome to a special Monday edition of Ringside Reporter Podcast. And today we're going to talk about Terence Crawford and Amir and why there's no promotion for this fight. And we're also going to talk about Billy Joe Saunders. I'll tell you about that. And but first, we want to talk about the Lamont Peterson, the fights last night on Fox. Was that FS1, right, Joe?
Correct, yeah.
All right. So FS1, Lamont Peterson, man, retired after last night. He lost to Sergey Lipinets. I believe it was a 10th round knockout. I believe it was 10th round, right? I think it was. I don't know, somewhere around. Listen, he got knocked out anyway. That's all you need to know. That's the big news here, right? I mean, so he got knocked out right around the 10th round, and afterwards he announced his retirement. He gave a really nice speech at the end, said he was done, and that kind of thing, man. But that fight was up in the air. That wasn't like a one-sided drubbing. That wasn't it was a close fight. I mean, he was getting hit, no question, but he was hitting the other guy too. Lipinets, I thought, did a real good job of putting pressure on him. I thought he did a real good job of going to the body at times. But Lamont Peterson is just Lamont Peterson, man. He is such a good technical boxer. He's got one of the best jabs I've seen. He moves really well. B, what was your assessment of the fight last night?
Well, I picked him to win, and it looked like my prediction was going to come true. Yeah. If you looked at the first half of the fight, particularly the first 3 rounds, I thought he boxed beautifully. I thought he was moving well. I thought he was using his jab, like you said. He was going in and out. He wasn't standing in front of Lipinets, because Lipinets, you can say what you want about Lipinets, but he does a lot of little subtle things that can really make his opponent upset in there, kind of take them off their game a little bit. And one thing about him also is he's very persistent. So he's not flashy at all. He's sort of like a slash Antonio Margarito, Mickey Ward type guy with probably a little bit more pop and a little bit more precision. But, like I said, he's not flashy, but he keeps coming forward. He throws that jab really straight and sharp, but he times it very well. He doesn't reach with it, and he's really good at kind of establishing where he is in the ring. He's got a good sense of where he is in the ring, and he's always on balance, so he's not really leaping in with shots. He's stepping in behind the jab, and he's setting his feet, and he's getting his feet set before he shoots those straight shots down the pipe. But he continues to put on pressure. But Lamont Peterson was going tit for tat with him in the first half of the fight, and I thought he came out strong in the first 3 rounds. And, he caught some shots, but he always started the exchange and he ended the exchange. And after he ended the exchange, he was able to pivot out or step off to the side and spin out of harm's way. But as the fight wore on, I think the pressure from Lipinets, the constant pressure from Lipinets, and all of the movement that Lamont Peterson had to do, I think it wore on him a little bit, and it took some of the gas out of the tank. And you could see that he ended up succumbing to the pressure. And could also see that Lipinets was taking Lamont Peterson's shots very well, whereas Lamont Peterson, as the fight wore on, was not able to stand up to the same type of shots from Lipinets. So Lamont Peterson said something very interesting at the end of this fight. He said, I was doing well, and even in camp, there was times when I was sparring, I was doing well, but there was always that one point as the session wore on where I was getting caught, and then I didn't react very well to it, and it kind of changed the whole dimension of the sparring session. And I said to myself, if it happens in this fight, then I know that it's not just me having an off day in sparring. He said, I know it's me. So when you have that in the back of your mind, that maybe your training did not go as well as you expected it to, or maybe certain things that you wanted to do in preparation with your training did not go the way you wanted it to, and you had those types of moments where you said to yourself, I don't remember this happening 2-3 years ago, and now it's starting to happen. Now, when you have those thoughts in the back of your mind, and you're already thinking about, you know what, if it happens in this fight, I'm packing it in, that tells me you have one foot out the door already. So he went into this fight knowing that he wasn't what he once was. And he went into this fight thinking, possibly, you know, this could be it for me if I don't perform the way I want to perform. Instead of saying, you know, I'm going to perform the way I'm going to perform, and I'm not even thinking about what happened, you know, in my sparring or in my training. Because it's just like anything else. If you're having, a sparring session in preparation for a big fight and you get knocked down, psychologically that could damage a fighter if he's not able to put that behind him. And he can end up second-guessing himself, you know, in the fight if he's not able to put that behind him. But Lamont Peterson probably had those feelings mentally, but also physically. You know, the mental and the physical kind of, you know, added up, and you know, he knew that he had those feelings in his mind for a reason, and because his body wasn't responding the way he wanted it to. So I thought he would win this fight. A lot of people questioned if he was able to still be that Lamont Peterson of old because of all the miles he had on the tank. And I guess the miles on the tank did end up catching up with him, and he possibly did get old overnight in this fight with Sergey Lipinets. And I guess it is what it is. This game doesn't last forever, and Lamont Peterson, I'm glad he's getting out now, and instead of giving himself another 2 or 3 fights to really confirm that he doesn't have what he used to have, he felt it in training, and he felt it in this fight, and that was good enough for him. So props to him for stepping out at the right time, and props to Sergey Lipinets for his determination and his heart and will for, you know, being able to keep up and sustain the pace he fought at and being able to stick to his game plan. So props to both fighters. It was a great performance for both fighters. You know, it was a very entertaining fight.
You know, Sergey Lipinets could have packed it in, honestly, because he was getting, I thought, outboxed pretty well. I mean, pretty well for the first part of that fight. And like you said, I mean, the pressure he put on him and everything. And you know yourself, man, if you have a guy putting pressure on you, it's tough to deal with.
Yeah.
It really is. Unless you're a very slick boxer, it's tough, man.
Yeah. And it's not all mental. I mean, excuse me, it's not all physical. It's not that the guy's right. taking you into a pace that you're not comfortable with, and because of that, you know, you're getting tired just from having to fend him off and having to move constantly and you know, having to do something to keep this guy off who's taking very little time to reset. This guy's stuck in first gear while you're, you know, switching in and out of first and second gear. This guy's in fourth gear while you're still in first and second, and this guy is never having the downshift. So that in itself kind of puts you not only into physical duress but also mental duress, because you're saying to yourself, "What am I going to do here to slow this guy down?"
Right.
You know, I'm going into my bag of tricks, and everything I'm pulling out, nothing's working. What do? Go grab another bag of tricks. I only brought one bag of tricks with me to the fight. There's not another bag, so you know, I'm shit out of luck here. So that wears on you mentally. You know, that wears on you mentally.
You know, you're on your back foot all the time. It's like you're on your back foot. You're hitting this guy. You're jabbing him. You're doing what you can, and you know, occasionally you touch him with the right, and you keep moving. But pretty soon, man, that pressure does wear on you. You know, and it's like you said, it's a mental thing too. Like because you're constantly having to think. You know, this guy's coming forward, and you're constantly having to think. Where am I going to move next? All right, the ropes are here. I got to pivot off. Now I've got to try to turn this guy. Let me see if I can turn him and buy some time here. It's a very tough, and you know, and you being the pressure guy, that's hard too, because you're going to take some punches. You know,
Centurion's son made an excellent point in the chat, and we hear people talk about this. Andre Ward says this all the time. He says sometimes it's better to just get knocked out instead of go through a fight and being beat up for 7 or 8 rounds. It's easier to just get put out with one shot and not have to deal with all that punishment. So Centurion Son made a great point, because Spence kind of beat Lamont Peterson up. Like Matisse hit him with a shot, caught him cold, and just put him out. And he did it early. What was worse, what Matisse did or what Errol Spence did? Because Errol Spence just beat him up for, I think, what was it, 7 or 8 rounds?
Something like that. Yeah, it was hard to watch, man.
Yeah. So did that take something out of him? And was that the the nail in the coffin for him? Was that the fight that just where he left a lot of himself in the ring that night and he could never get it back? Because again, people can say what they want, but even with Mikey Garcia, people don't realize that he was getting beat up for 12 rounds, or at least 9 of those 12 rounds he was getting beat up, and he was just getting hit upon and hit upon and hit upon and hit upon all night. Now, would it have been better for Spence to knock him out in 2 or 3 rounds? Well, it wouldn't have looked great on the record, but in terms of taking years off of the fighter's life, I'm curious to see how Mikey Garcia responds to the Spence fight. Could this be the fight that changes Mikey Garcia? Because again, it's really, really distressful mentally and physically for a fighter to get beat up for the whole fight and not win a round and just get beat on and beat on and beat on, and take multiple shots. Spence threw 1,000 punches that fight, and he landed. And he landed about 35 to 40% of them. So that's a lot of punches being taken by a bigger, stronger, heavy-handed guy over the course of a 12-round fight. So we'll see what happens. But those are the fights that take years off of a fighter's career. And a lot of times they're never the same after that. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, that was my big fear coming in here for Peterson. Is that, and we had talked about it leading into this fight too, how much did he actually leave in that Spence fight? Because he was mauled in that fight. And, it goes to show you again, man, how great a boxer Spence is, because I know how good of a boxer Peterson is. Peterson is a very sharp, slick boxer, and he got manhandled in there. I mean, it wasn't, he was outboxed, he was outgunned, he was just everything you could possibly think of. He was just not on the level that night, man. And like I said, man, coming in, you had to wonder how much of that, he left in the ring that night, coming in against the guy. It was a bad, I think it was kind of a bad matchup for him, the pressure style. But I think, a few years ago, Lamont wins that fight with no problems. The Lipinets fight I'm speaking of.
Well, I'm gonna disagree with that a little bit. I don't think anyone beats Lipinets with no problem. I mean, even Mikey Garcia. I mean, that was you could argue that he won 9 rounds to 3, but those were some tough rounds. Like,
well, that's what I mean. I mean, scorecard-wise, scorecard-wise, it's a 9-3 fight. I'm not saying it's ever an easy fight. Okay, but scorecard-wise, I think he wins that fight pretty soundly.
But this guy makes you work every round. You know what I'm saying? This guy's
absolutely
tough.
No, you're never gonna have an easy night with him. No, for sure.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. But it was sad. It was really sad when I saw that. That he retired right there in the ring, and it was, man. We've watched Peterson for years. We've watched him develop. We watched him become champion, and then we watch him, end his career. And in a lot of ways, man, it was tough to watch. It really was, because it was. I don't know, man. He you remember him, and just to see, it's like you start seeing these. You're going to start seeing more and more of this as careers are going to go by the wayside. You got Peterson, you have Garcia out there, and all these guys are all on the tail ends of their careers. Would you agree with that? Yeah.
That's a fair assessment.
Yeah, I think they're all kind of on the tail end of their careers. So it's you're going to see more and more of that and stuff. But I think I like the fact that he got out when he got out. That's my thing. I like that he got out now, and he didn't wait, and he doesn't have any effects of it. You're still going to go. You made plenty of money, and if you saved it, great. If you didn't save it, that's fine. But you're going to get out at least with your health.
Yeah,
you know, and that's the important thing. You know, we keep seeing guys like, you know, Terry Norris, Meldrick Taylor, you know, a lot of guys that you see now slurring. The Thomas Hearns is another one that comes to mind, slurring their words and everything like that. And I just want him to get at. That's the other thing too. If he thinks it's time to call it a day, no matter what we think, then it's time to call it a day. You know, so unfortunate, but hey, I'd rather that than see him fight on. You know.
Yeah, I agree.
All right,
I agree.
One piece of news here before we go to the Crawford Khan thing. Billy Joe Saunders, as we know, will fight WBO #1 contender Shafat Usifi. That is now for the WBO interim super middleweight world title on May 18th. Beeb, the WBO interim.
I mean, what can I say, man? What can I say?
Right?
I mean,
yeah.
What can I say?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Mauricio Suleiman was talking about originally Dillian White and Dominic Brazil was supposed to fight for the WBC interim heavyweight title. So, I mean, I just can't. I can't figure this out, man.
Either you're
I can't figure this out.
Or you're not the champ.
Yeah.
Where's the middle ground here, Beeb? If you're either a champion or you're not a champion, right? I mean, you either beat the champion or you didn't beat the champion. How can we have an interim? I don't even understand the whole interim process. What do you mean interim? I don't get that.
I could see if a guy got hurt and he's been out for like a year, and then you want to have an interim champion, but the guy is still the real champion is still active and fighting. So why would you have an interim champion when there's already the original champion's not hurt and he's not on the shelf? Makes no sense.
None.
And I can never figure out why they do that.
Yeah, I can't either. All right, let's talk about the matter at hand here. So Terence Crawford and Amir Khan are going to fight, I think it was April 20th, I believe.
Yeah.
And which shows you what a great job they're doing when we don't even have the date right offhand. They're going to fight April 20th, and we alluded to this the other day, and subsequently we've seen nothing. I would have thought the other day with the Pulev fight would have been a perfect time for them to bring him in, you know, to bring on Crawford or bring on Khan, have a satellite between the two. You know how they used to, you know, where they have one guy in one place, one guy in the other, and the two are going back and forth or whatever the case. What on earth is going on here, Beeb? I mean, there is zero promotion for this. Zero. And let me tell you the other thing. I texted you today to see where the fight was taking place. I couldn't remember it. You texted me back MSG. MSG, I guess, has got their own ticketing system. I guess they don't go through Ticketmaster or whatever. I guess they got their own little thing. So I went on there to take a look at the seats. There's a ton of seats left. I mean, an absolute ton. There's a lot, man. So I'll tell you what, man. I mean, when I say a lot, I mean a lot. And not to mention, okay, when you click on best seats, all right, you click on best seats and it shows you like a bunch of floor seats that are sold out that are being resold, you know? So you wonder if those seats will even be, you know, filled. I don't know. And I mean, listen, man, I know they're talking about a lot of walk-up traffic and everything like that, but this is pay-per-view, man. Pay-per-view.
Well, here's the problem with this whole thing, because the super fight at welterweight, everyone knows, is Errol Spence, Terence Crawford. And in order to make on paper, it's a super fight because we know who both these guys are. We know how great they are in terms of their skills and their abilities, and just giving them the eye test, we know these guys are the two best in the division. Most people can agree upon that. But Spence did something great his last fight. It wasn't a great opponent. It wasn't a great fight. but it was a great performance, number one. And Fox promoted the hell out of that fight. You know, for 2 months, if you were on Fox, all you saw was commercials for Mikey Garcia, Errol Spence. You saw Errol Spence and Mikey Garcia on all the Fox programs. You saw every program that took place on Fox, regardless of what it was, whether it was a football game, NASCAR, whatever it was. They always talked and mentioned Errol Spence, Mikey Garcia. Okay? The same is not happening with ESPN. They're not even promoting this fight. And even on their fight cards, they're just talking about it. They're showing still shots. They're not showing highlights. There's no commercials for it on ESPN at all. And the thing is this, for the super fight to truly be a super fight, both guys have to become, mainstream stars to some degree. Now, it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to be Manny Pacquiao versus Floyd Mayweather. I'm not saying it's going to get to that level, but at least what Errol Spence did in this last fight and what Fox and PBC did is they really helped enhance Errol Spence's profile. I mean, he was doing a lot of shows, and all the hard work that was put into promoting that pay-per-view at Mikey Garcia, I mean, it did the pay-per-view did what, like 350,000 or 300, how much, like 360 or 375? What was the final pay-per-view numbers,
it was, they said it was right around 350, trending toward 400. So, but I don't know that it reached 400. But anyway,
I heard it was like,
400.
I heard it was like 375 or something like that. And
those are good numbers.
And that's phenomenal for the first time out. Now, Terence Crawford, the first time out, what did he do? Like under 100,000, right?
I think it might have been like around 50. I mean, it was horrible.
Yeah, really bad.
Fight. Yeah, that was terrible, son.
So if a case can be made for Errol Spence to fight Terence Crawford, it's gonna have to be worthwhile, not just in risk, but there's gonna have to be some type of reward. And if Terence Crawford keeps going down the path that he's going on, and not even Terence Crawford, but ESPN hasn't really done anything to enhance this guy's career. Top Rank hasn't done anything to enhance this guy's career. Then it doesn't seem like he's getting the push that he deserves or he needs. Then what incentive does Errol Spence have to fight Terence Crawford when he can fight a guy like Mikey Garcia, or he can end up fighting a guy like Manny Pacquiao, or he can end up fighting a guy like Keith Thurman, and I guarantee you he'll sell out whatever arena he's in, and he'll do better viewership than Terence Crawford will, because he's on a bigger platform, number one, and he's also on a platform that has great production, great promotion, and really knows what they're doing. And I hate to beat a dead horse because they like to call me beating dead horse beat, but ESPN, when you look at how they put on these UFC shows and how they promote these UFC shows and the production on these UFC shows, it's like night and day when you compare it to what they're doing for their boxing. So Fox got rid of the UFC, and they said, guess what? We're going to be fully committed to boxing. We're going to go all in on this boxing. ESPN does not seem like they've made that same commitment in regards to boxing. They're getting behind this UFC, but they're not doing shit for the boxing. And it's starting to show. And I hope, and I really hope, that this Crawford pay-per-view does a lot better than what I anticipate it's going to do. I know I'm going to buy it. But judging by these ticket sales with only, I mean, how much time we have left? Less than a month left. We got like 3 weeks left here?
Yeah, less than a month.
It's not looking good. It's not looking good. So again, this Crawford-Spence should be a super fight, but will it be worth Spence's while if Crawford is, his profile just stays stagnant? He hasn't increased his profile, increased his popularity. If he's going to, just keep going along the way he's going along, then I don't think this fight is going to be as big as it should be between him and Errol Spence. So they got a lot of work to do over on the Terence Crawford ESPN Top Rank side, in my opinion.
Well, what do we always say? When we were talking about, when we talked about the Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder thing and talking about who's the A side and all that other good stuff, we talked about him selling out arenas in London. 90,000 seat arenas. You know what I mean? That's what we talked about. Yeah. Spence has sold out, 40,000 seats at Jerry World?
47.
Yeah, almost
40
50,000.
Almost 50K.
50,000.
I mean, this guy's on his way, man. He's on his way.
What can you say about that? And can you honestly, if you're Terence Crawford, can you honestly come to the table and say that you're the A side in that fight? No, you can't.
No, not
because
at all.
you're not selling as much. I don't care if you're just as good, if you're better. That's not the point. You know what I mean? That's not the point at all. The point is you can't sell that many tickets. If you just look at pay-per-view numbers, 375 or whatever the number was, 375 or something around there, to his I don't even know that his were released, and the speculation was it was around 50. Because they don't have to release those numbers.
Yeah.
And the speculation, I mean, we all know it tanked. It's just a matter of how bad it tanked. And there was no promotion for that one either. And so, I mean, you have a network here. I mean, you can't mix in some commercials. I mean, something. You know, and I get it. You're a month out. I get it. But on every fight, this should be mentioned. Mentioned a couple of times during the broadcast. Because you're trying to sell something here.
Absolutely.
You know, look what they did with that Spence fight. I mean, you couldn't watch Fox for 10 minutes without hearing about that fight.
And here's another
two or not.
Yeah. Here's another thing that Leonard Ellerbe. I can't believe I'm going to be quoting Leonard Ellerbe.
How dare you?
But he made a great point. After ESPN signed Tyson Fury to a supposedly lucrative deal, I mean, obviously we don't know what the exact numbers are, but how does Terence Crawford feel? Like, wasn't he supposed to be the flagship of this boxing stable? Yeah. And so now they're going and they're dumping a ton of money on Tyson Fury. Terence Crawford's got to be saying to himself, "What about me? You're going to get behind this guy from the UK, and you're not getting behind me. What have you done for me? You know."
Well,
that's what Leonard Ellerbe said. He said that. He's like, I wonder what Terence Crawford is thinking right now after they just dumped a boatload of money on Tyson Fury's lap.
Well, we'll tell you this. I can't feel too bad for Terence Crawford because if I'm Top Rank, all right, and I just signed Tyson Fury is like a promoter's dream. Oh,
I'm not saying Top Rank.
Night and day.
I'm not saying top rank has to second guess themselves. I'm just saying, what is Crawford thinking right now? That's all.
Well, maybe Crawford, should take a page out of the book, something, because the guy has no personality.
And Errol Spence said that he doesn't like doing press, but I'll tell you, he did a good job.
Did an awesome job.
Did an awesome job on the mic on all his interviews. His interviews were fire. All his interviews were great. He did a great job answering all the questions of the press. He was nice and polite and calm, and he answered the questions, really, really insightful. He gave real insightful answers. He did a great job. Terence Crawford's like, you could tell he don't want to be there.
Right.
And Spence was saying he doesn't really like doing that stuff, but I couldn't tell he didn't like doing it because he did it so well. He did a great job. And any time a mic was put in front of him, he stood there, and the public relations person had to tell him, "Oh, that's enough. Last question." He had no problem standing there for 15, 20 minutes to a half hour answering questions. Terence Crawford, you could tell he's squirming. He's squirming when he's being asked questions. He just doesn't like it.
Right.
And I'm not trying to dump on Terence Crawford. He's a phenomenal fighter. Don't get me wrong. But, I mean, he needs to take a page out of Errol Spence's book. He needs to take a page out of that PBC book, because all those guys are always out in front of the mic doing interviews. They're always on shows. They're always on broadcasts. They go to each other's fights, and they're always being interviewed and talked about. And while there are other people's fights, they're promoting their fights. So it's like a win-win for everybody. You're not seeing the same camaraderie over at ESPN. You're not seeing the same practice over at ESPN. And Terence Crawford, I just think that he doesn't understand that. There's more than just getting into the ring and showing your skills. You got to promote yourself, like Deontay Wilder's doing, like Errol Spence is doing, like Keith Thurman's doing. like Sean Porter's doing. You gotta take that same type of attitude, and you gotta be a boxer 24/7, not just when it's time to train and when it's time to get in the ring. So there's more to it than just the physical. You gotta do the PR. Got to do the PR.
And I mean, he's the wrong guy. I mean, he really is. He's the wrong guy. And he lets it. He's got the skills in the ring and everything like that, and he does, everything in the ring he does correctly. But again, he's a promoter's nightmare.
Yeah.
And
Stop.
what do you, and he's getting what was it? Steve Kim said he was getting about $3 million a fight or something like that.
3.6 got in his last fight.
Yeah. And I mean, he makes the most money of any welterweight outside of pay-per-view. If you're on pay-per-view, you're probably going to make more. But if you're not on pay-per-view, he's probably going to make more than you. And, and I understand it's a comfortable deal for him. But that being said, I mean, listen, man, Errol Spence and Mikey Garcia, I'm sure made a lot of money for theirs. And you're going to get shortchanged in the end of the day. You're going to get shortchanged on negotiations, or you're not going to get the fight. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And I mean, you've got to be able to work with something. That being said, I mean, look at ESPN. They are, as far as like the UFC on ESPN, it looks awesome. The production is there. I mean, they are taking care of the UFC.
Yeah.
This is like watching softball on ESPN. You know what it reminded me of? You remember the USA Friday night fights with Sean O'Grady and stuff?
Oh, there's no difference.
There's
no difference.
Right? There's no
difference between this production and the production they had on the ESPN telecast and the Tuesday night fights on USA. It's the same thing. There's no difference.
Right.
And then you got Tim Bradley trying to do his Floyd Mayweather imitation and failing badly at it. Be yourself.
What was that?
Be yourself. Be yourself.
That's it. I mean, Tim Bradley's another one that was like, what are you doing?
And Andre Wood sitting there
flat.
Andre Wood sitting there looking at him like, what the fuck is this kid doing?
Everybody was looking at it. And what was he trying to give like Mark Kriegel like $100 to fix his tie? Or I don't even know what the reference was.
That was the corniest shit I've ever seen in my life, man.
Dude. Yeah, I mean, because that was so out of character for him, and that's what Ward said. It was a Pacquiao money, But yeah, I mean, it was just like, what are you doing? That was just dumb. Coach Big C in the chat, salute. Raphael Dawkins, salute. Papoose 316, salute. Gucci Kid, salute. Centurion Son, salute. Raphael Dawkins, salute. Fight Doctor, salute. L. DTB, salute. Jay Lee, salute. Hit that like button, guys. Come on, man. Hit the let's get our likes up there.
Coach Big C, if you decide to call in today, I implore you, please go easy on Eric, man. I mean, we had to get the smelling salts for him last time. It took us a long time to wake him up after the show.
Coach
please,
C
Coach
is
C.
Coach C is going to call again from
Take it easy on him.
Coach C is going to call again from Fantasyland, son.
Coach C bodied you, man. He bodied you last call. He bodied you.
Do you even know what bodied means?
Eric, if you were in the paint,
know what that means?
Coach C posted.
If you believe that, you still believe you're a champ, son.
Coach C posted you up.
Coach C didn't make one coherent point. And
you were hanging all over him. He was just throwing you around like yesterday's newspaper.
Not never. He did not make one coherent point. I don't even know that he put one coherent sentence together. But that's just me.
I'm going to call him Coach Lethal from now on.
Coach what?
Call Coach Lethal. Because he's deadly when he calls
Coach
in.
Weevil?
Lethal.
Coach Weevil. Like Boll Weevil? Yeah, that's a good. Coach W.
Slow it down, buddy. Don't try to spin this. Coach C, call in, but go easy on him.
You see him in the chat. He says, "Eric, I can call back. You're more than welcome to call."
Don't throw your haymakers at him. He can't stand up to the power. Spar with him a little bit. Just spar with him. Don't throw the hard shit at him.
I'd actually like to hear his take. On
On this topic?
On this. Yeah, I really would, man. Because
you better get the toilet paper because he's going to shit all over Crawford. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Oh, here he goes. I think this is him. 443. Where is 443?
He's in Baltimore. You don't know Baltimore, baby? DMV.
I don't know.
It's a
Baltimore's
DMV.
area
You don't know
code.
You don't know the DMV.
The DMV, the Department of the what?
DMV, baby. He's right near Washington.
What's the DMV?
You don't know nothing about that. Forget it. Coach will tell you, man.
What is the DMV? No, what seriously, what is the DMV?
What the
Department
Washington
of Motor Vehicles?
It's like the Washington D.C. Baltimore area. It's called the DMV.
Is it?
Yeah.
Kind of like they call Cincinnati and Ohio Titletown. It's one of those.
Close.
It's kind of like let's see, what would it be like? Just like the Dallas-Fort Worth area. You know how like Arlington's part of Dallas and like it's in between Dallas and Fort Worth? So it's kind of like a whole kind of metroplex because everything kind of goes around the district, so to speak, you know?
Do they still have East Block in Baltimore?
Yeah. Say again?
Do they still have
East
Block? East Block?
I don't know nothing about the East Block, Eric. Don't even
Block.
Don't even pretend,
East
Eric.
I don't even know what that is, man. I'm from East Baltimore, man. What's East Block?
East Block is where the police
something,
station's
man.
right there. The police station's right there, and there's like a bunch of like strip clubs right there.
Are you gonna talk
Like
about
a whole line of them.
The block. Yeah, the block's still there. It's not as cool as it used to be, but yeah, the block. With like City Hall and the police department downtown, and then you got all the like the red light district. Yeah, it's still there. Baltimore Street.
Very cool.
You don't know nothing about that, Coach.
Yeah.
He don't know
Like
nothing.
Larry Flint's Hustler
You
Club's
sit here
out
in
there.
Boston and you mind your business. How about that?
Norma's is
Mind
out
your
there.
business up there
Hey,
in
Eric,
Town.
man. Eric,
That
tell you what,
trash
man.
baseball
You come
team
to
you guys got up there.
you come to Maryland. Eric, I tell you what, you come to Maryland, and I'll take you to some place that blows the block away, bro.
Really?
Take you
Coach C.
someplace, man. You'll forget all about that place.
Coach C.
Oh yeah, I'm telling you, there's some places. The strip clubs are way better near DC, outside of DC. Way better. Way better.
Coach C, if he went to Maryland,
Way better.
he'd get folded up.
Way better.
He'd get folded up.
Son, I own Maryland, son. Son, you don't even step out of your front
I got
door.
some spots, man. I got some spots, man. Eric, I'm telling you, man, I got some spots, man. You go out there, man. You mess around, move out here, bro. You be like, man, I'm just go ahead and just, I found me a little place, man, out there in Northwest, you know what I'm saying? I'm just telling you, I got some spots to change your life. Girls will do something strange for a piece of change, man. I'm telling you. Man, I see what y'all talking about with Khan, man, and this in Crawford, this pay-per-view, man. And it's just, I don't, like, ESPN's in a weird space to me with them being a promoter now, like how the networks are promoters. Because to me, ESPN was always best when it was like Friday night fights, remember? And you get good fights on Friday night, you know what I mean? And it would be any promoter, or, you had the smaller promoters, you had like the Bella was big on Friday night fights, and things like that. But, I mean, how are they got three main fighters, but they're not the hottest fighters in the game right now. They're good fighters, Fury, Loma, and Crawford, but, Wilder, Spence, and Tank Davis are probably the, three of the marquee guys, and Canelo, obviously. But I just like, how are they going to just talk about their fighters when they're ESPN? They have to talk about all fighters, right?
I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, like, you can't just say, hey, we got this fight coming up with Crawford and Crawford and Khan here. But then you got Skip Bayless, who's from Texas, so he's going to want to talk about his boy Spence. Because everything Dallas is going to get pub on Skip Bayless's show, and everything, Dallas is going to get pub on ESPN because it's linked with the Cowboys. So, you can't really avoid Spence with that, fighting in the NFL stadium, tied in with the NFL, which is the biggest thing out. So
that was huge.
I don't know. Yeah, that's a big deal, like cross-promotional. That's huge,
And Max Kellerman is a boxing guy. You would think on First Take he'd be talking about boxing more.
Does he? I don't even watch that show.
Yeah, but he's on there with Stephen A. Yeah, he's on there with Stephen A. And it's just a whole bunch of yelling. All that stuff in the morning is just a whole bunch of just yelling and argumentative, just, whatever.
Skip and Shannon's show, Undisputed, is way better than First Take. I like it a lot better. Don't you agree, Coach C?
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I don't really watch any of the early morning stuff anymore. I remember First Take when it was part of Cold Pizza, man. That's when I thought it was cool. Now that I've just kind of gotten away from the whole talking about everything's a big deal, everything's just the talk of the day, and who should get fired and who's gonna get cut and who. It's just like
they're always talking about they're always talking about coaches.
There's
what coaches should get fired and shit like that. That's like the main topic over at First Take.
There's so much sports on frickin' TV now. They got frickin' people on the radio, and they got a television show. So you're basically watching someone talk on a radio set. Are you serious? That's not content, really. That's bullshit. That's BS, man. So I just, But how about a special shout from my man Lamont Peterson, man? You want to talk about got retired last night on his shield, man. Sergey Lipinets beat the brakes off of him last night, man.
Yeah, I was sad to see that. Sad to see that, man. And I picked Lipinets to win too, but I didn't expect him to retire after that. I didn't expect him to, I didn't expect him to go out like that. But at least he goes out with all his faculties and everything like that.
I had a feeling. I had a feeling, man. He got beat up in that Spence fight. He's 35. He's getting hit too much. Can't get out the way like he used to.
Yeah.
He's fighting in a bigger division. He only really has power up to 140, really. So he couldn't keep that kid off of him. He said it after the fight. He's like, I'm hitting these guys, and they're still coming, so it's letting me know it's time to leave. I'm like, yeah, dude. Him and his brother got their butts kicked last night. He classy guy, good guy. Does a lot in D.C., man, and hopefully, he'll get he'll promote and help get some of these. There's a lot of talented athletes in the D.C. area, man. A lot of good boxers, a lot of good young boxers. So maybe he can help with that, man. But he was from the first round. I was like, he's getting hit way too much by this guy. Like, this is not going to end well at all. And he couldn't hurt him. Like, yeah, he's going to get demolished here at some point.
Yeah,
this guy's going to end up breaking him down. And yeah, he was just getting hit way too much. And what are you going to do, man? Like, he's 35, man. Like, athletics is a young man's game.
That's the thing.
It is what it is, But he was a great champ and a great guy, and at least he didn't get hurt last night. And we got another guy, that's maybe. All right, man. We'll put another episode on. Son's watching Mickey Mouse Racers here after school. But yeah, man. Like, at least we got Jared Hurd, for the DC area, and Tank when he fights every 10 months or so, whatever. But I just, I'm looking at. Did you hear the news about Dillian White supposedly looking to fight Adam Kownacki?
Oh wow, I didn't hear that.
This year?
Solid fight.
Yeah,
that's a real.
Is he just? I think he beats Kownacki. I don't think Kownacki's there yet. Why don't he just fight Luis Ortiz? He says he wants a title shot, and all right, you say you want a title shot, so I can understand that. But you got to fight one of these top tough guys at the top of the rankings. You can't just fight these European guys and then just say, oh, yeah, I deserve a title shot, and you're going to come over here and fight the champ, and you don't have a belt. That's not really how boxing works, if he beats Ortiz on, say he fights Ortiz on Fox, then he could fight Wilder on pay-per-view if he beats him. What if he knocks Ortiz out? Then you could say, hey, you knocked him out, I knocked him out, just pay-per-view, let's do it, let's go. But instead he's like, doing everything but getting in the ring with Luis Ortiz, I really don't understand it unless he's scared of him and doesn't want to take the chance.
Isn't Dillian White already number one? Isn't he the number one contender already?
It's ranked number one by the WBC.
Well, he's the number one. No,
right.
He's ranked number one by the WBC, but the problem is Brazil's been the mandatory for 2 years because the whole mandatory situation in WBC has been kind of a mess dating back to Povetkin and the whole drug testing thing. When Povetkin failed the drug test and then they didn't have the fight, but then he still was suing the WBC and I'm still the mandatory. I didn't really fail the drug test. Then he finally failed another drug test. They're like, all right, you're no good. So then Stavern was the mandatory challenger, but he actually said, I don't want to fight Stavern. Stavern's too easy to fight. I'm going to, pay Stavern step-aside money and fight Luis Ortiz. Then Ortiz failed a drug test for the blood pressure meds, right? So then he decided to go fight Stavern again after that whole situation got delayed. So then he beats the hell out of Stavern. So that's his mandatory. But Brazil beat Molina right after that fight, and then he was the mandatory because he fought Molina in the Eliminator. So then, what happened? Deontay Wilder goes ahead and beats Ortiz the next year in March, and Dillian White beats, who did he beat in 2018? He beat Brown, beat Parker, and he beat Chisora. But this entire time, Wilder's been trying to fight Joshua and Fury. So he's been trying to make a big unification fight, and he hasn't really been focused on the mandatory. Meanwhile, Brazil's still kind of standing there like, yo, I'm the mandatory. What's up? So I can understand White, feeling like, hey, I'm actually ranked number one, and I'm paying these sanction fees for the silver belt. But, I mean, dude, how come everybody else knows that you have to fight a mandatory, an eliminator as a silver belt champ, and you seem not to? That's what doesn't make sense to me. And the fact is, he could have fought Brazil or Ortiz last year and become the mandatory, but he didn't want to fight either of those guys. So, I mean, you're saying you want to fight the guy, but you're not doing what you need to do to fight him. So, I mean, you're kind of like, what are you doing? Like, you're just kind of, I mean, you don't even have a fight made now. Like, Ortiz doesn't have a fight made. Fight him in July. Like, you got a date, right? Fight him in July out in England, bro. Like I don't see why these people want to handle stuff. I mean, these guys are too big for the Sugar Ray Leonard fight you in the courtroom stuff, man. Like, that Sugar Ray Leonard ducking Aaron Pryor talk about, I'd rather fight you in court than in the ring. Like, these dudes are 250, man. Like, get in the ring and figure it out. But, I'm old
that's
school.
why. I mean, that's definitely why. I mean, he's the number one contender, so he's not going to risk that against Ortiz. I mean, he's not. I mean, I don't agree. I'd like to see him fight Ortiz. Everybody thinks that's a good fight, but he just ain't
great fight.
Huh?
Well, then, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure even after he fights, even after Brazil, because let's just assume Brazil's going to. Wilder's going to beat Brazil, right? Yeah. I'm not so sure that Ortiz wouldn't be next up after Brazil. Because you got to think about it. The only person to beat Ortiz was Wilder, the champ. And he's fighting WBC fights here in America, and he's trying to fight this guy, and Dillian White just doesn't want to fight him. I mean,
that's not so crazy.
I mean,
let me tell you what, that scenario is not so crazy because think about it. He's fighting his mandatory Brazil. After that, you get a voluntary defense. You don't have to fight another mandatory until they give it to you. So you got a voluntary defense.
Yeah.
And you could also you're looking for unification fights too. So you got to free your voluntary. I mean, yeah, this could it's not good. Dillian White needs to stay busy. You know what I mean? He's a guy that needs to stay busy. He's got to get a fight. He's not going to get a title shot next.
But when Brazil said last fall that he'd fight Dillian White, he's like, I need to fight. What's up? We can fight, straighten this whole thing out. And he passed him up to fight Chisora. The Chisora fight was always going to be there, dude. Like, he could fight. He could have beat Brazil, got the mandatory spot, and then fought Chisora now. You know what I'm saying? Like, the Chisora fight, like, come on, man. Like, that check was always there. You know what I'm saying? That's like the Kell Brook Khan fight.
and that really wasn't a great fight to make in terms of like his
He was
career.
losing.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of his career, that wasn't the best move he could have made.
It was a step back. Like what? Like, come on, Derek Chisora is 28-10. Like you didn't. I mean, at least Fury's fighting Schwarzkopf here, who's freaking undefeated. Like everyone in Europe has beaten Derek Chisora. So it's like you really like you see you got Wilder fighting Fury. AJ's kind of hanging in the balance. Brazil's the mandatory. Ortiz is calling you out, and you go ahead and fight Derek Chisora, dude. Like that just shows that. I mean, it shows you don't want to fight nobody. You just want to cut the line and just go up there and get a title shot. And then you're clamoring to Wilder, come fight me in England. Like ain't nobody gonna fight your headbutting ass in England. Nobody gonna fight you out there, bro. Them English referees. I wouldn't put my belt up out there. I mean, he fought Parker, and his best punch of the night was with his head. Headbutted the hell out of Joseph Parker, man. Like, nah, man, I'm good. And I want to like Dillian White, man, but you can't fake the funk with a nasty dunk, man. Like, if you really want them problems, you want the smoke, man, go find it. Ortiz is willing to fight you, bro. Like, Brazil was willing to fight you, but, since Fury chickened out, it's like, all right, well, I'm up then. You can't fault Brazil for doing that, even though he looks scared, knows he's going to probably get beat up. But, hey, going to make like $3 million to get beat up. It's cool.
That's it, man. That's it. All right,
Coach, it is what it is, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I appreciate y'all, man. Thanks for taking my call, man. Hey, Eric, I'm telling you, man, I got a spot. I'm telling you, I got a spot. Yo, you would love, man. You come out here to Maryland, you just let me know, man. You just let me know when you out here, man, and I'll take care of you, brother. Got you.
Absolutely, man. I'm going to take you up on that.
Coach, thanks for going easy on him.
All right. All right, fellas. Y'all have a good night.
All right,
man.
I'm so glad he didn't wear you out this time.
He brought up a good point. He
always brings up good points. He's the coach.
Well, I think this is the first time he brought up a good point. But but when he's talking about Dillian White, okay, and I think the Dillian White-Konoski fight is awesome. I think that's a really, really good fight. But, what about Dillian White? He's going to have to fight somebody. He could be.
That would be a great fight to watch.
Title picture.
Wouldn't that be an action-packed fight?
It would be very good.
But listen to this though. He's ranked number 1 by the WBC, number 1 by the WBO, and I think he's ranked number 4 by the IBF. I mean, it's a travesty that this guy has not gotten a title shot yet. It's ridiculous. How is it? How do you explain that?
Yeah, I
can't explain it. I can't explain it.
I mean, well, look, Eddie Hearn is busy with Anthony Joshua. They both fight under the Matchroom stable. Why he can't put that fight together again, I have no idea. But here's the other, if you get down to brass tacks, before AJ announced his next fight with Miller, remember that? When he walked in the ring, it was right after the Chisora fight, White, and he said, hey, would you guys like to see us fight again? And there was collective groan and a bunch of boos in the audience. Nobody wanted to see that fight again.
They did boo him, huh, didn't they?
Yeah. Yeah, they sure did.
Come on, hit that super chat. Like button. Hit that like
with you.
Hit that super chat. Like button. Hit that like button. 5 fingers of death. Get those super chats up. I'll do a 5 fingers of death for you guys tonight. Get that super chat up.
All right, come on. Yeah, that's right. We get the super chat up. Beeb does the 5 fingers of death. That's the rule. That's the
rule, man. Today. Get some super chats in there. I'll do the 5 fingers of death.
PED, salute. Raphael Dawkins, salute. Gucci Kid, salute. Emmanuel Moreno, salute. Legendary boxer Jason in the chat, salute. Gucci Kid, salute. All right, there we go. Come on, guys, get the thumbs up. Let's go. Thumbs up.
Get the thumbs up. Get the thumbs up, people.
I don't know. Let's see here. What else? Where did he hear about the Konoski? Did you hear that?
I didn't hear that at all.
I didn't hear that at all either.
Did not hear that at all.
I didn't hear anything about Konoski and Dillian White. I'm actually surprised that that's even being mentioned. If that's accurate, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the deal is, man.
What do you think? They're really starting to hype up, and Ryan Garcia fights next week. What do you think about this guy? They're really hyping him up. Is he going to live up to the hype? I mean, is this guy the next guy or what?
Ryan Garcia?
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to live up to the hype. I don't think he's a bad fighter, but the way they're hyping this kid up, I'm just not. I'm not sure, man. I think he's a good fighter. I just don't. You know how you can look at a guy like Teofimo Lopez and you can say this guy is just special or has the potential to be special. When you look at Ryan Garcia, do you get that sense, that feeling?
I don't. He's good. Don't get me wrong. He's good and he can fight. And he's got. He reminds me a lot of like. Minus the talent, of course, Oscar De La Hoya coming up. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. He's not Oscar De La Hoya in terms of boxing ability, but in terms of marketability, I think he's right there. I really do. I mean, you're looking at a guy who. Oh
yeah, he's marketable, but I'm asking like in terms of his skills. Do you see him, being exceptional?
It's tough to say. Not right now. No, somebody just mentioned Teofimo Lopez in the chat. Actually, Fight Doctor did in the chat. And Teofimo has got the skills.
Yeah.
That's a guy you look at like, whoa.
What do you guys in the chat think of Ryan Garcia? You think he's the goods or what? Or is it too soon to tell? I'm curious to see what they think.
Yeah, I am too, because like I said, I mean, he's got a good following. He's got, but they were talking about him. I know De La Hoya was talking about him fighting Tank Davis and everything like that, man. Yeah, I wouldn't be chasing that fight, put it that way.
I mean, this kid's 17-0 with 14 knockouts.
Yeah, and I still think he's a little greener than I'd like him to be.
So
Ryan Garcia's a Mexican Justin Bieber.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
and I agree with most of them in the chat. I think he is definitely
too soon to tell. Okay.
Yeah, definitely too soon. I think it is too soon. And I think they need to, they're good over at Golden Boy about building fighters, and they're gonna build him up. They're not stupid about it. They're not gonna put him in there with Tank Davis or anybody like that anytime soon, And just like Tank Davis, I mean, they knew like when he got the title, he wasn't gonna fight Loma right away.
But think about it though. Tank Davis is 21-0, right, with 20 knockouts.
Yeah.
He's only got 4 more fights than Ryan Garcia. I mean, and he seems like he's light years ahead of him.
And he is. I believe he is. I mean, think about it. I mean, but like I said, I mean, and Tank's got that freakish power, and that's an intangible by itself. But he can also box.
People talk a lot of crap about Tank's resume, but Jesus Cuellar and Jose Pedraza are not bad fighters, man. Cristobal Cruz is not a bad fight. He's got solid fighters on his resume.
I don't think. Well, when people start to question Tank's resume, I think is when you start talking about comparing him with Lomachenko, and you hear people say, "Well, Lomachenko hasn't fought anyone," and then you're just kind of blown away. Like, are you serious? I mean, that doesn't make any sense. And if you put the two resumes side by side, I don't know that there really is a comparison. I mean, would you agree with that?
Yeah. I mean, Lomachenko's got a better resume than Tank.
I think Lomachenko might have one of the best resumes in the game with his limited amount of fights.
Gary Russell's very solid.
Very solid fighter.
Very solid fighter. The Rigondeaux fight, I mean, let's face it. On paper, we thought that was going to be, more than what it more than when it showed. We thought that Rigondeaux was going to do decent in that fight. Not many people picked him, but we didn't pick him. But there are a lot of people. A lot of people. A lot of people were. Fight. Yeah, a lot of people were picking him, but we didn't. We just didn't see it. This on our panel, we didn't see it.
Yeah.
So that was a great fight on paper. Who else did he beat? The Nicholas Walters fight was a great win. It's another great win because Nicholas Walters was a killer at the time. He was undefeated. So he's got, so he's been in there with some pretty strong, big, strong punchers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you still think he beats Mikey Garcia?
Loma?
Yeah. I kind of favor Mikey in that fight.
Oh no, I don't know. I tell you what, that's a more interesting fight now that Garcia lost, and in the way he lost, than it was before. Yeah. I don't know, man. Mikey's obviously he's a good boxer. He's still there, but again, man, you got beat. I mean, lost every round in that fight.
Yeah.
How do you that's a tough thing to recover from. I mean, it really is. Because you think, if you would have told him that you're going to lose every round in that fight, he called you crazy.
Yeah.
If anybody said he was going to lose every round,
that was totally. I don't like the Monday morning. I don't like the Monday morning quarterback with that fight. That was kind of bullshit. Everyone's like, oh,
I agree.
Of course he was. But for years, everyone kept saying he was ducking the guy. So it's like, which one is it?
Right. Yeah, with Garcia, I tell you what, with Garcia, I think you'd have to give him the edge because he's bigger. He's just naturally bigger.
Bigger, yeah.
But the problem is, he went up in weight, 2 weight divisions. Now he's going to come, if this fight takes place, he would come back down to 135.
Yeah.
That's a big cut. That's a big cut now.
If I was to advise him, I would tell him to go back down to 140. I would have him at 140. I think 140 is fine.
But I think 147 is fine for him too. There's a lot of money fights over there. There's more money fights at 147 than there is 140.
And you know what's crazy too? People made fun of Marquez when he first moved up to 147 when he fought Floyd. They said he looked soft and stuff like that. But as time went on, he started getting shredded at 147. He started filling out and started looking like he grew into the weight and it was comfortable.
Yeah. I think that's just my opinion. I think he should stay at 147. I think it's a better weight for him. Because I think there's more money up there.
Yeah,
I think it's a good weight for him. I would think it's a bad weight for him.
You make a good point. I would think 140 physically would be a better weight for him. But is he gonna? How can you make money down there?
Yeah, you're right. 140 is probably ideal for him. You know what I mean? Like you said, 140 is probably ideal for him. But there's nobody there that you're going to make a big paycheck. There's good fights down there. Don't get me wrong. There's excellent fights, but you're not going to get paid for them. So
you think he'd have problems getting back down to 135 again?
I think he'd have a bunch of problems. You know what? I actually, you actually, now that I think about it, maybe you favor Loma in that fight at 135 because you got to come all the way back down.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. Look what happened to Roy Jones when he had to come back.
I was just thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
That would be tough.
That's a tough thing to do. That's a disadvantage of jumping that far up in weight because it's hard. It's going to be really hard to come back. Kell Brook's another one. Look at him. Jumped up to 160, then had to come back down to 147. Got knocked out again.
Yeah. That was tough, huh?
Yeah. So, all right. Area code 312. Is this Fight Doctor?
It's Fight Doctor.
Fight Doctor.
What's your name, man?
My name is the Doctor. I say that my name is the Doctor.
I'm Rick James, bitch.
Fight Doctor.
Fight Doctor's in the house. Fight Doctor's in the house on Rick James status as always.
Nice.
What's going on, gentlemen?
What's going on, Fight Doctor? How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well. Thank you. So, real quick, Davis, right? Tank
Davis, yeah.
He doesn't have a pound for pound quality resume. He doesn't, okay? But at the same token, neither does Lomachenko, if you want to be completely honest, okay? His best wins, they all have an asterisk next to them.
Whose?
All right, but there is one thing that separates Lomachenko. Okay? I mean, what are his best wins? Nicholas Walters, Rigondeaux. You can put asterisks next to both of those wins. Okay? And then his first fight at 135, he beat, what's his name? What's the guy he beat? What's his name? The Golden Boy fighter. What's his name?
Yeah, I'm trying to let me look him up. Let me look him up real quick.
Well, he had already lost like three, four fights. So it's not like he'd done something that hadn't already been accomplished. So he hasn't accomplished anything that hadn't already been done. So
Jorge Linares.
Well, listen, I'm agreeing with you. Jorge Linares, right, who got sparked in one round in his very next fight. So, right, listen, and then above and beyond that, whenever we talk about Lomachenko, whenever anybody brings up Lomachenko, they always fail to talk about the elephant in the room, which, of course, is the loss. Gentlemen, losses count, okay? And I hear a lot of excuses whenever the Salido loss is brought up, but regardless of all these excuses, and that's what they are, excuses, losses count. You lost to a guy, listen, Orlando Salido is not a bad fighter. He isn't. He's a good fighter. However, if you lose to him, I'm sorry, but that sort of eliminates you from being pound for pound number one when you have a loss to Orlando Salido on your resume.
In your second pro fight, though?
Nobody was.
I mean, it was a second pro fight.
You want to just stop with this second pro fight bullshit. Listen, the man is a veteran of 400 amateur fights. I mean, your typical pro fighter. How many amateur fights do they fight? 100?
I would say between 100 and 150.
Maybe.
Even Olympic guys, I think. What do you?
This guy,
is that right?
Yeah, about 100. Yeah, you're right.
I would say, yeah.
100, 110, yeah.
So let's be honest here, right? This guy spent the first half of his professional prize fighting life in the amateurs, okay? 400 motherfucking amateur fights. And then he starts, listen, I'm sorry, but that second pro fight nonsense, is that just that? Nonsense. Stop, please, okay? No. 400 amateur fights. If you don't learn how to box after 400 amateur fights, guess what? You suck. Just that simple. You shouldn't turn pro, okay? So
there is a difference between amateur and pro.
Above and beyond that,
amateur and pro style are completely different.
I'm agreeing. I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah.
I'm agreeing with you, okay? You're right. They are, okay? There is a difference. There's a big difference between amateur and pro. But there's a reason why this guy spent so much time in the amateurs, okay? Because apparently he wasn't ready to turn pro, and evidence of that is the fact that in his second pro fight, you lose to Orlando Salido. Okay? So maybe he should have kept his ass in the amateurs for another 100 fights. Okay? Because maybe he wouldn't have lost to Orlando Salido. All right? So I'm sorry. But, yeah, 400 amateur fights. 400 amateur fights, you turn pro and you can't beat Orlando Salido, and yet I'm supposed to believe that you are pound for pound number one in the world? You know what I call that? I call that bullshit. Stop, please. Okay? Stop. Okay? With the crack. Stop smoking that shit. Stop, please. Okay?
What about Gary Russell? Now, what about Gary Russell?
No,
that was a pretty good win, no?
Okay, but see, here's the deal, right? Here's the deal. See, this is the shit I don't understand. Like, the Orlando Salido fight, somehow the Orlando Salido loss, somehow it doesn't count, But in your very next fight, you beat Gary Russell Jr. and that's such a stellar win. Beating Gary Russell Jr. proves that you're supposed to be pound for pound number one. So let's ignore the fight immediately before. How does any of this shit make any sense? Okay, I'm sorry. But in my world, 1 + 1 = 2. But when we talk about Lomachenko, all of a sudden, basic mathematics fails to apply. I don't get it. Sorry, I don't. Yeah, okay. Gary Russell Jr. is a good win, but it came on the heels of the Orlando Salido fight, which apparently never happened because we never talk about it. Whenever we do, the first thing that comes out is, second pro fight. Stop. Please, stop. Okay? Stop. No. Yeah. Loma does not belong on the pound-for-pound list. He doesn't. I'm sorry, but no. Not until he beats somebody. Okay?
Who was your top pound-for-pound guy?
He had a... Oh, that's easy. Canelo Alvarez.
Yeah, I can't argue.
Pound-for-pound number one.
Yeah, can't argue with that.
Okay? And I really don't see... I mean, if Errol Spence were to go up to 160 and beat Alvarez, I put him at number one. Maybe Terence Crawford beats Errol Spence at 147. Maybe I would make him number one. But yeah, I just really don't see anyone. I just don't really see anyone beating, impressing me more than what Alvarez has been able to do with his dismantling of the triple dub. So I would have put Garcia had Mikey Garcia had Beeb picked. So Beeb is the ringside reporter equivalent of Tony Atlas. Beeb, I know I love you, but you are like the new Tony Atlas. Okay.
Tony Atlas.
I'm sorry, not Tony Atlas. Teddy Atlas.
Teddy
You're the new Teddy Atlas.
Say the wrestler Tony Atlas.
Right. You're the new Teddy Atlas. All right. I'm dating myself now. Okay. I go back in the day. Yeah. The fight doctor is a little long in the tooth. But yeah. Okay. But yeah. So. But yeah. So yeah. The guy needs to beat someone. He's not worthy of being. He's not a pound for pound fighter. He's just not. I don't understand what all the hype is. I just don't. I mean. I just don't get it. I mean, beat somebody. He had an opportunity to beat someone, but he ran from Garcia. He obviously doesn't want to fight Tank Davis. Okay, not that Tank Davis, a win over him would make him pound number one or even close, because it wouldn't. Davis is a good fighter, and I think Davis would probably beat Lomachenko, and that's probably why the fight hasn't happened.
I don't think that's why the fight hasn't happened. I think that Mayweather Promotions does not want that fight to happen, and I don't blame him. I don't blame him.
Well, I don't know. I think Davis has all the tools to dismantle Lomachenko. Okay, if Orlando Salido could do it, then yeah, I think Tank Davis at this point in his career is better than Orlando Salido was when Lomachenko met him. Okay, to be completely honest, you put a little bit of pressure on him, and all of a sudden he falls apart. So I just don't. Yeah, I'm just not impressed. Just not. I'm not impressed. I'm just not. He needs to beat somebody. He needs to beat somebody. And
who would you? I mean,
look, he ran from the Pacquiao fight. Lomachenko. Everybody in their mother wants to fight Pacquiao. Okay. Everybody, people are willing to cut off their left leg to make the weight to fight Manny Pacquiao. Golovkin would have fought him at 154. Guys who move up two weight classes to fight Manny Pacquiao, no problem. Okay? You've probably got like 115 pounder somewhere who would gladly move up to 147 pounds to fight Manny Pacquiao. But for some reason or another, the fight gets offered to everybody's favorite number one pound-for-pound fighter in the world. He says no. Why is that?
Did
This
that fight get
represents
offered
the
to him?
most money you are likely to make.
Beeb, did that fight get offered to him?
Well, like they were discussing.
I think so. He didn't want it. He didn't want it though.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I think there was a real possibility that fight could have been made had somebody grown a pair, had the gonads to fight old man, got knocked out by Juan Manuel Marquez, Manny Pacquiao. I don't understand. You're supposed to be pound for pound number one in the world, okay, and then ancient Manny Pacquiao wants to fight you, which, let's be honest, where are you going to make that kind of money, Lomachenko? I mean, who can you fight to make that kind of money? I mean, it's called prize fighting for a reason. You fight for a prize, okay? Here you are, an old man who's ripe for the picking, and you say no to the biggest fight financially you can make. You say no. Yeah. I call that suspect. Okay? Like suspect, like as in public enemy number one suspect. Seriously. Come on, man. Yeah. Listen, this guy, his career is a joke. Okay? Stop. Let me just stop. Look. Lomachenko fanboys, put down the crack pipe. Stop shooting up the heroin. Leave that shit alone. It's not a good look. It's not. And on that note, I'm out.
All right. Good job, Fight Doctor. Interesting. Beeb, what do you make of that? Is Lomachenko a hype job?
I wouldn't go as far as saying he's a hype job, but I don't think he's pound for pound number one either.
No, I think Fight Doctor makes a good point on that. I think it's tough. If Canelo Alvarez, if you're doing a pound for pound lesson, Canelo Alvarez is not at the top of that list. That's tough. That's tough for me. I mean, listen, the guy, he beat Triple G the second time. Whether you think he did or not, he did. He's fought everybody. I mean, the guy has fought everybody. He's got one loss.
Yeah. I kind of like Crawford, though.
Crawford's another good one, man. Crawford, what do we count? 8 champions on his record. 8 champions, former champions.
He won a title at 130, 135, 140, and 147.
It was tough, man. That's another.
Did he win a title at 132, or is it 130? Just 135? He won a title.
I thought it was 135, but I could be wrong. But the only problem I have with Crawford, is that Crawford over Canelo is that Canelo's fought stiffer competition.
Yeah, he's got better.
And I will say this: when Crawford fought Postal, I think we all picked Crawford to win, but we didn't think he'd win like that. And the same thing with who was the other guy he fought? The African fighter, Julius Ndongo.
Ndongo, yeah.
That was another one, man, where I thought that Crawford would win, he would pull it off, but not like that. And Ndongo was a good fighter. Everybody was calling him trash, of course, after the fight. We Monday morning quarterback everything, and then he sucks after the fight. But Ndongo was good going in. Ndongo was a very good fighter.
You got a three-weight champion, 135, 140, 147. Then you got a guy that unified at 140. Beat everyone that's put in front of him. Cleaned up the 140-pound division. I don't know. That's tough. If Canelo beats Jacobs and beats, I guess you can make an argument for Canelo right now as being the best if you wanted to.
I think you
can. I can't really argue against that, to be honest with you. That's tough to argue against. I kind of like.
He went up there and fought at 168, won a title there. Fringe title. That was what it was. But he still went up in weight and did it, But that's tough. Like I said, man, you can't. Show me somebody who has a better resume.
I thought he actually lost both. I thought he lost both Golovkin fights myself. That's my opinion, but.
Yeah, I think did I have the second one? I can't even remember how I scored the second one. I think I had.
I think you had the second one. The second one a draw, didn't you?
I think that's what I did. Yeah, I think I did have the second one a draw, because I had Canelo actually winning that fight, and I had Triple G closing the gap late. And I think I had that fight a draw, and you had Golovkin winning.
Both fights, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely had him the first fight. That was like a 116, 112 fight. That was a no-brain fight, man.
Yeah.
That was an easy fight to score.
Crazy.
But yeah, that second one.
I don't think Golovkin can win in a third fight though. I think he's starting to slip.
Yeah, no, he's not winning the third fight.
I think I pick Canelo in the third fight. To be honest with you,
I would totally pick Canelo in the third fight. I mean, I don't think Triple G's the same. You know, like I said, man, I noticed it. Steve Kim had said he noticed it in like the Kell Brook fight. I noticed it in the Danny Jacobs fight.
I thought he lost the Jacobs fight too.
I had Jacobs winning that fight.
I thought Jacobs clearly won that fight. It was close, but I thought Jacobs won.
Yeah,
I thought he won.
Most people, a lot of people around me had Jacobs winning that fight too. So
But Canelo keeps getting better though. He's getting better. He's getting better. He's getting sharper.
Yeah.
He's getting. You know what else too? You know the scary part about it is Canelo's getting stronger. He's starting to really grow into his weight. He's getting stronger. He's got that man strength now.
Yeah, he's a full-fledged middleweight now.
Without question.
I mean, he's no longer at doing the Canelo weight thing where he's 150, 150. I mean, he's a full-fledged middleweight. 160, man. And he's big, and he can punch, he can put you away. But Danny Jacobs can fight. Danny Jacobs is a very good boxer. So it's going to be on the man. Yeah, it's going to be a big stage for Danny Jacobs. I know you can say that he was already in the big stage with Golovkin, but I don't know. This might be a different level, though. This
might be a different level. This is like a huge fight. Like
but Jacobs has been he's been to the big dance. With Golovkin, he's been on a pay-per-view, so he knows. I mean, he's been there before.
Yeah.
So the atmosphere may be a little bit different, maybe a little bit bigger, but I don't see him having too much problems with this.
No. I think he'll be ready.
Yeah, I think so too.
I definitely think he'll be ready.
Yeah. All right, everybody in the chat, salute. Make sure to hit the like button on your way out, and we will be back on Wednesday. We have Hickso. I think it's I keep messing the name, but Hickso. We'll get it right. We'll get it right on Wednesday. But Hickso is going to be in here, and they're the ones that do the punch. They have punch trackers that you can buy, and you can put them in your gloves and hit them and stuff like that. And then they count your punches. They also count the impact and all that other good stuff. So I thought it'd be something cool for you guys to hear about and everything like that. I always like. I like that kind of stuff. I like digital stuff. I'm a guy, but I like the digital stuff. I like all the bells and whistles and stuff like that, because we don't get a lot of that stuff.
Well, this will be different. This will be like kind of a learning show. So someone's going to explain to us about a product that we've never heard about, and this is basically it's going to be it's going to be enlightening to us. Like who would ever have thought that you could put a device in your gloves to count punches? Like. That's next level shit right there.
Right. Well, the crazy part. The crazy part is like we always see it on TV and about the punch track and everything like that.
Yeah.
And how many times do you go to the gym and you're thinking, I wonder how hard I'm hitting this bag. I know how hard I hit, but how hard am I hitting? You know what I mean? It's like that kind of thing. And you always see that sports science where they show you how hard you hit and everything like that. And how many punches of velocity and everything like that. That's cool stuff to me, especially because
it's very interesting.
Yeah, for sure. So make sure to tune in for that on Sunday or not.
Wednesday
live shows. Wednesday. Make sure to tune in for that Wednesday. And short of that, we will see you then. Thanks, guys.
All right.